Now, let's talk about Corbin Carroll and the excitement and the hype surrounding him because I think it's time the D-backs call up Corbin Carroll. No more playing around, no more waiting. Let's get Corbin Carroll called up for September because Mike Hazen has suggested he might get called up, but you never know with these GMs and service time manipulation because teams love to lock in that extra year of service time when they can. So you could have an extra year of control of not paying your star player. So when they're ready to get paid, ready to hit free agency at age 31, you're saying, hey, you're on the wrong side of 30. You're too old now. I can't give you that long-term deal, even though you just played the last 5 years with us on, on a barely minimum contract. We can't give you a fat deal now, despite you being an all-star for us multiple times. That's usually what teams do. But for the D-backs, I'm hoping they break that philosophy. And also the CBA hopes they break that philosophy because we did just have a lockout where they have new CBA rules incentivizing teams to call up their prospect. Because if you call up their prospect, if you call up one of your prospects and they finish high in, rookie of the year or award voting, you can be awarded a pick. And teams love picks. No matter the sport, teams love the idea of an asset that hasn't materialized yet that could turn into a future superstar or a franchise savior. People love potential. People love hope. And that's what a pick is. And so for the D-backs, you could get a pick if you call up Corbin Carroll, but I think Corbin Carroll would have to be on the roster for his entirety of his rookie campaign. That's the only hiccup. So if he gets called up in September, that means I think he will have to start next season with the D-backs. And who wouldn't want to see that? There are some people who say the D-backs should wait to call up Corbin Carroll and just wait for next season and just give him a full year from start to finish on the major league level. And it's also a meaningless season. The D-backs are out the race. Like, why call him up for games that don't mean anything? But that's kind of my overall point as to why I believe the D-backs should call why I believe the D-backs should call up Corbin Carroll. It's because we are in a meaningless part of the season. It's because we are playing games that don't really count for anything. And right now, it's a low pressure environment for Corbin Carroll. So I think it's the best time for a rookie to come up and take his lumps because I just want to see Corbin Carroll swing a bat, and I want to know how good he is at swinging a bat. I don't care if that leads to wins or not. I just care about his own personal production at this point in the season. So why not get him called up right away? If he's not good right away, then let Corbin Carroll not be good right away in a season that doesn't matter. Let him get his lumps out now when the games don't mean anything, because I think it would be a lot easier as opposed to next year when the D-backs are trying to get off to a nice start, because I just told you about the schedule, how hard it is in the beginning. So D-backs are trying to get off to a nice start, and then you're trying to mess up I'm trying this word again, continuity. I got on my first try again. So you couldn't mess up the continuity by bringing in the level of Corbin Carroll's stature into the locker room, or lack thereof, because he's not a very big guy. But I'm not saying Corbin Carroll would be some locker room disruptor if you called him up, in the second month of the season next year. But I think it's a lot easier to transition him in at the end of a lost season, as opposed to try to transition him in at, somewhat at the beginning of next season, especially when you're trying to jump off to that early start next year. So let's get Corbin Carroll called up right now, because the man is absolutely crushing it on the minor league level. Like Corbin Carroll, I'm pulling up his stats right here. In Double-A this year, in 58 games in Double-A, 313 average, 1073 OPS, 16 home runs, 20 stolen bases. That was in Amarillo, the sod poodle. So what did the D-backs do? They said, we got to promote you, Triple-A, Reno Aces, 31 games with the Reno Aces, 306 average, 996 OPS, 7 home runs, 11 stolen bases. On the season, Corbin Carroll has 24 home runs, 31 stolen bases, a 314 average, a 1056 OPS. The man is showing you that he absolutely crushes minor league pitching. No one can stop him in the minor leagues. Every time you turn on a highlight or a game of Corbin Carroll in the minor leagues, he's crushing it. Think back on August 25th, his most recent game. It was 2 for 2, but he reached base 6 times in 6 plate appearances. The man is absolutely insane. He's dynamic. He's got speed. He can play defense. He's got some power. He's going to do so much for this D-backs lineup. And when I think about the future of the outfield, of course, we want to see Drew Jones in 3 years, but just next season, 2023, if I got Corbin Carroll, Dalton Varsho, and Alek Thomas in my outfield next season, just those 3, make me arguably the best defensive outfield, arguably the most dynamic outfield in baseball. And I would really be excited to see those three play in the outfield next season. And speaking of Alek Thomas, he's someone that I really want to see finish strong because he's someone that's getting, talked about a lot right now with the D-backs because he's someone that started strong with the D-backs, but he's kind of floundered here a little bit over the last couple months because when he broke into the majors, his first 48 plate appearances, he had a slash line of 326, 354, 609. He looked really good to start in those first 50 plate appearances. But over his next 210 plate appearances, his slash line, 225, 290, 335. And I don't think Torey Lovullo did him a lot of services with all the jerking around in the lineup. You're batting second, seventh, eighth, first, ninth. Like, I don't think that helped out Alek Thomas at all. But in August, he's been slightly better, batting 257 with 290 average on balls in play over 74 plate appearances. So it's 34 points higher than what he was doing during that 210 plate appearance sample. But overall, the big issue for Alek Thomas when you look at his numbers and the splits and dive deeper is the fact that he's not elevating the ball. When Alek Thomas is elevating the ball for line drives and fly balls, he's a way better player than when he's hitting ground balls. Because if you look at when you look at Alek Thomas's splits, whenever his plate appearances end in a fly ball or line drive, 102 plate appearances that end in a fly ball or line drive, his slash line 406, 402, 792. But when his plate appearance ends in a ground ball slash line, it's like batting below 200 with like a 300 slugging percentage and just absolutely disgusting stats. And the issue is for Alek Thomas is that he hits a ground ball 58.7% of the time, highest rate among all MLB players with 300 plate appearances. So he's quite literally one of the best players in baseball when he's hitting a line drive or fly ball, and arguably the worst player in baseball when he's hitting ground ball. And the issue is he hits ground balls at a higher rate than pretty much anyone in Major League Baseball. So we know Alek Thomas, elite defense, elite sprint speed, elite at making contact, but he's not elite at elevating that ball right now. And so for him, that's what he has to work on this summer, because I don't think Alek Thomas is going to be like a 30 home run guy, but I do think he could be 15 to 20 home runs and be a huge double guy, be top 5 in the National League in doubles with 15 to 20 home runs as well. I think that's possible for Alek Thomas, but to do it, he's going to have to elevate his swing, because right now his launch angle is 2.1 degrees, which is by far the worst on the team. So I'm still high on Alek Thomas. I'm still super high on Alek Thomas. I still believe in him as a prospect, a player, and being the future center fielder of the D-backs for the foreseeable future. But my man does have some work to do in the lab this summer. Now, that's it for this edition of a Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. Come back next week for more Diamondbacks news coverage and insight. It's Friday, so go catch up on any pods you might have missed this week. We talked a whole lot about the MLB schedule and their lack of MLB and the lack of their marketing issues, or, just their overall marketing problems. So go back and catch up on any pods you might have missed this week. Come back next week for more Diamondbacks news coverage and insight. Thank you for making Locked on Diamondbacks your first listen every day. Make your second listen of the day Locked on MLB with our pal Sully Baseball. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Deuces.